All right, so I just wanted to do a quick little video of my thoughts on the Icon T8 scan tool. Um, I've had it for about 3 months now. I work in a shop, and it gets used every day. The thing has been phenomenal, to be honest. There's been certain situations where we have a Snap-on Zeus in the shop as well. Um, there's been situations where the Snap-on Zeus, in particular, there was a Chrysler Grand Caravan with a rear HVAC unit, and the Snap-on Zeus only had the PIDs for the front HVAC. So you couldn't pull up actuation tests or anything for the rear blend door or the rear mode door, and you couldn't see those PIDs. Now I'm sure Snap-on will fix that, but the Icon had it right out of the gate. It ended up not being an actuator. It actually ended up being the rear HVAC module, which is the control board. That ended up being the issue, but it was stupid quick and easy to figure it out with the Icon T8. Pulled out the module and tested it and made sure it wasn't a wiring issue or something, but put a module in it and it's good to go. So my thoughts overall, it's great. Phenomenal scan tool if you're going to pick one up and it's going to be your first scan tool. I've had many scan tools over the years. Would I say this one is the easiest to navigate? Not necessarily. There is a learning curve to it. It's similar-ish to Launch. However, and I believe they are like launch-based software. But even the launch ones, like when you go and try to select a PID to look at, let's say you're in the ECM and you're trying to look at data PIDs. Well, when you first pick them up, it's just going to bring you to all of them. Then you have to go through and deselect all of them and then select the ones you just want to look at. Then press OK. So software isn't like perfect per se, like when it comes to navigation, but once you figure it out, it's like using anything else. Very good scan tool. I also have a little trick for it that I'm going to switch the camera here. But a little trick that'll let you use a scope with it that I found to be very good, actually. Very good scope, especially for the money. Very impressed. Shout out to Martin Lauren for that. Great set of kit and great software. And he's always improving it. So super grateful for that because that is awesome and definitely helps with like your really one-off diagnosis that you don't see all the time, but once in a while having a scope is a game changer. I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera and we'll get to talking. Okay, so here is the Icon. Now I will say this thing. Sorry that this is how I have to record it, but it's the best I got. It's just a tablet. It's just an Android-based tablet, but it's got the Icon software on it. What I will say is I have the secure gateway on this. Works phenomenally, just as it should. I set it up for your Chryslers. I think some newer Nissans are even doing it, and Mercedes does it. The newer stuff, but the secure gateway. So you can get into that with this scan tool. So just to try to, the Truefix thing is very good, in my opinion. The only thing that I don't really like about it is that when you click on it, it'll take you to a browser, which is fine. It's not really a big deal, but it takes you to Harbor Freight's website first, which is, it's not a big deal, but it's a little bit of a gripe. Just because it'd be nice to just be able to get to your, service data. I will say for the price of, I think it's like $300 a year, it's not terrible. It's really not terrible. I'm just gonna sign in here quick. Oh, if I can hit it. But a lot of your procedures and stuff. So here's where you would come to, and it gives you, type in your year, make, model kind of deal. Let's just, I don't know. Let's go with something here. Let's go with 2015. Sure. Chevy. Let's do an Equinox. Pretty common car to work on because they're garbage. You can. I'm running off a hotspot right now, so it's a little slow. But let's just do, I don't know, let's do blower motor. All right, blower motor. I will say some things you really have to navigate and find, like if you're looking for procedures. Automatic HVAC, manual HVAC. Okay, what is that? That's descriptions. So that would be like your theory and operation. If you're used to theory and operation, it's got your automatic and your manual. So the HVAC control module is, it gives you your whole rundown. What the actuators are, the blower motor. Oh, good Lord. I don't have my stand set up very well. But it gives you all your theory and operation there and how the system works and what it's supposed to do, what the ECM does, in accordance with the system. It's very useful. And then you have, let's see. Let's see if this will. HVAC schematics manual. So you have your blower motor there. And there's your wiring diagram. So there's radio, HVAC controls, HVAC module, your blower motor here. And are they colored diagrams? Some of them are colored diagrams. It really depends on the vehicle and sometimes the system for the vehicle. It's odd. They're diagrams. Some of them are, book style diagrams like this, and some of them are nice colored diagrams, which is interesting. Nonetheless, they're usable. I find that the color diagrams are a little bit easier to just take a quick glance at and do a test, whereas the non-colored diagrams, the book style diagrams, are, you got to pay attention a little more. You really got to look at them. Nonetheless, still very usable, and you can get just about everything from them. Let me get out of this here. Okay, let's see. Blower motor replacement. And here you go. Let me try to make this a little bigger here. I know I can minimize that. I've done it a million times. Huh, well, let me do it right now. Interesting. Oh well. But anyways, you can go through here. You can see where it's located, roughly. And it gives you some information here on how to replace it. Remove the instrument panel, insulator panel, right side, refer to instrument panel, insulator panel replacement, right side, Equinox. And you can just, it's a hyperlink. So you can click on the hyperlink there and how to remove it. And my Wi-Fi is really slow at the moment. But there you go. It gives you a nice picture of what they're talking about and what they want you to remove. So that's how you get that panel off. So you pull that panel off, and then you would be able to then get to your blower motor. You get your screws out, unplug it, pull it out. Pretty easy job. But your procedures are there, your wiring diagrams are there. It doesn't have, I think the big thing, it's not, at least I haven't found, it won't give you labor time, like book time. That I haven't seen, at least. However, if you need wiring diagrams, and you need, for certain things, you need procedures, and you want theory and operation, it's got everything that I've tried to do so far. It has it. So, and like I said, I've had it for about 3 months now, and I use it every day. So we also have Pro Demand and All Data and Identifix at the shop. But since I've gotten the Truefix, it's nice to just have it in the tablet, especially because when you're diagnosing a car, if it has, let me see if it does. Yeah, so they do have the demo here. I hope this will work. But if you have a code, let's just do Chevy 2012. Oh, you know what? They had 2020 in there. Let's see. 2020. Let's do your all system code scan, because that's going to be your, like, how you get your report of every module. I'm just going to go through and do a report. And this is just a demo. It's not an actual vehicle here, but it's the same exact principle. So this one says, engine oil pressure, performance, and then evap, leak. So you have a code. Not only do you get the normal code assist stuff. Oh, I gotta sign in. Okay, so it's just saying that it's only going to pull up the 0442 code. So because of the demo, they only... So your evap here, this is your... what do they call it again? Code assist. There you go. So you can hit your code assist. It gives you, like, your top reported fixes, and then, things that it also might be... little stuff, which is, it can help. I usually don't use it. It can kind of shortcut a diagnosis if you really don't know what to look for at all. I find it's, most of the time I don't end up using it. It's just not super useful. It's more of a, hey, 90% of people, when they have this code, replace this part. It's kind of more what it is, which, there's advantages to it, but it's not something I really use. However, you can go to the Truefix if you have a code and just click the Truefix, and if you're already logged in for the day, normally it keeps you logged in, but I guess in this case it doesn't, and it will automatically have, in this case it didn't as well, I guess because of the demo. But normally, if you're already logged in and everything, it'll bring up, if you have a code, it'll bring it up, and it'll already have the vehicle in there. So you don't have to type in the vehicle and everything, and it'll bring up that code, which is phenomenal. The demo doesn't seem to be doing it, which is kind of annoying, but it's all right. And it'll give you, your theory and operation of the system, wiring diagrams of that system for that code, which is very nice. It's stupid simple, stupid easy. You're already there. It just brings you right to it, which is beautiful, because if you use service data, you know that sometimes searching for things can be such a pain. It yells at you if you leave your VCI in the car. But basically what I'm saying, it does everything. You got your actuation tests, you got even certain calibrations and certain programmings even. I've found that it does do. Now, that's, you know, kind of hit or miss depending on the vehicle, depending on the module, whatever it is. But most things can be calibrated, and most things can be programmed with this, which is impressive. But here's the other little caveat. There's this app called H-Scope that you can get. And I have the little scope there on the back, just kind of velcroed to the kickstand at the moment. And it's just a little 2-channel scope. I have a 4-channel scope that I use with the software as well, just in case I need more than 2 channels, but I keep the 2-channel one with it. So kind of gives you that little, you know, like Snap-on has a 2-channel scope usually with there. Some of them have 4. But they have a 2-channel scope on most of their scan tools nowadays. A lot of scan tools offer a scope, and the Icon line does not offer a scope with, you know, through Icon. However, with this software here, H-Scope, and the scope for said software, through Martin Lauren, I'll link his site in the description. He sells scopes that he makes, and he also, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe he developed this software. It's phenomenal, and I've gotten some absolutely beautiful waveforms with it. So just here on my local ones here, this is a can high, can low. I believe it was a 08 Ford here. I'm zooming in way too much here. There we go. And this wasn't even with the 2-channel here. This is with a different scope. This is with a Handtech scope. So this software does support other scopes. However, not every scope, just other scopes. So there's your can high, can low waveform, just a known good. But you can see, you know, we're going from roughly 2.5 to 3.5, and for can high, and 2.5 to 1.5 for can low. And it's pretty clean. It's a pretty damn good waveform. Not that that's a hard waveform to get, but the fact that you can at all. Here's an injector on the same vehicle, just a known good. And you can see I have a current ramp here, and then there's my voltage for the injector. And if you really look, it's kind of hard to see, but you can even see the little pintle hump of the injector actually opening. And that's a beautiful thing right there. So there's also, super neat, love this. This is relatively new, but they have a cloud that people can upload waveforms to, and then, you know, known goods or known bads. But by the little check mark here, you can see that this one here is a known good, and this is a cam crank correlation for Toyota. Nissan Frontier correlation. Toyota Corolla. And 6074, that's the other scope I have. That's the 4-channel. It's a good scope. You can find it on Amazon, and it works with this software. You have to buy a license for it, but it does work. But it's kind of amazing the amount of stuff you can do with just this software. I mean, looks like he's got a coil in here. Yep. So he's got a coil in here. So this wasn't me. This is somebody else. I just took this is a known good that they uploaded. And there's your coil. You can see your coil oscillations. You can see your fire peak there, and you can see your burn line. So that's a known good coil. You can see it pulling down before it fires. And then so he would have used that to know what cylinder is where. And then he's got his cam and his crank. So you can see that the engine's in time, and this is a known good. So I can then look at this, and then if I have the same vehicle, take my own scope reading and be able to tell, okay, yes, I am in time, without even thinking. Just, does my waveform match this guy's waveform? And if it does, we know that vehicle should run. So if I have a no crank, no start, or I mean a crank, no start, and I take this, I know that it's not a timing issue immediately. Beautiful, beautiful, super handy. Like I said, you don't use a scope all the time, but those one-off weird, cars and diagnosis that you don't come across all the time, but if you have a scope, man, can it save you. So this guy knows already, if we use this and I had the same vehicle and I was going to do a cam crank correlation, wanted to know if the engine was in time, I could just pull up this guy's waveform, look at it, make sure that mine matches, and if it does, I know my vehicle's in time without ever checking timing marks. And with cars nowadays, trying to check timing can involve pulling the engine on certain vehicles. So to be able to do this is amazing. This could save you a bunch of time. So that's a handy bit of kit there. Relatively inexpensive, very inexpensive if you compare it to any of AES Wave or Pico or any of those. And I genuinely do think that it has most of the same abilities. You can even, let's say you wanted to do like an in-cylinder. So it has probes here. You can add probes. So you have your amp clamps and your pressure transducers and everything. You can add all of them, and which is amazing. Let me see if I can find someone that did an in-cylinder. I probably won't. One feature I would like, Martin Lauren, if you ever end up watching this, I would like to see just a search function for the waveforms, for the cloud-based waveforms. Would be super nice. Now he has a breakdown of your make and model, so that is one way. However, sometimes you're looking for a let's say a Chrysler 3.6, and you could there's the 3.6 is thrown in everything, so you could use another vehicle technically from Chrysler. So a search for this would be nice. Not super necessary, but would be nice. But it's got, basically what I'm saying is there's everything here. Everything is here in this little scope software that you would need. I really wish I could find somebody that did a in-cylinder here, but I don't think I will. No, I'm not saying. These are just the latest ones, the most recent. Okay, let's take this here. You can, so if you were doing in-cylinder, he has the charts in here to look and see, if you're doing an in-cylinder, the cylinder you're on, you can obviously edit how many cylinders. So you would type in, is it a 6-cylinder? And then you would put in your firing order. So this one right now is obviously set up for 1, 2, 3, 4. If it was different, all you would do, let's say it was 1, 3, 4, 2 or something. That was your firing order. So now when you load it, press save. That's what's loaded on the side. And you can measure this up with an in-cylinder pressure test and see exactly what's going on with that engine. You could also tell timing that way. It's still very accurate. It's a little harder to read, but you can tell timing. You can tell if your valves are working the way they should. You could tell if you had a stuck valve or a valve that wasn't closing all the way on cylinder 3 during the exhaust stroke, so you would know it was an exhaust valve that was an issue on cylinder 3. You can tell so much from this. It's kind of amazing. He's also got just your normal, I know AES Wave has something like this, but your normal, if you were doing in-cylinder pressure testing, this is the graph that I see a lot of the AES Wave guys use. And it is, it's just very usable. You can use it for a million things, which is super nice. Plus you have, your measuring lines that you can add to take measurements and whatnot, horizontally and vertically, which is super nice. Million different ways you can use this scope software, and I think for what it is insanely good. Highly recommend it. If you're looking for a scope, check out Martin Lauren. It takes, depending on where you live, I'm sure, but it takes about roughly 2-ish weeks to 3 weeks to have it shipped out. This is the HS512 Max 2-channel. The 6074 from Handtech is also a good scope. I find that the HS512 Max is a better scope. The only downfall is that it's only 2 channels. Other than that, phenomenal. But yeah, there's my little rundown of the Icon. It's, like I said, I've been using it nonstop every day since I've had it, and it has done everything I have needed it to. Everything I've needed it to. So phenomenal bit of kit. I think the Icon T8 is a great option. I've heard a lot of people complain about it. I know earlier on they had issues with their software. There's a lot more bugginess to it, and navigating was even worse than it is now. But it's gotten a lot better. They genuinely are fixing all the complaints that people had. And in my opinion, at the state it's at right now, it's plenty good. I would highly recommend it. I think for a budget scan tool, it is phenomenal. Let's see. So this is what I was trying. Hopefully it does it here. But if you go to, okay, so there you go. So this is the one thing that I don't like necessarily. It's just a little gripe. It doesn't make the scan tool any worse. But so if you're I'm in the PCM of a Ford right now. This is just a demo. But if you go to read data stream, you see how it has every PID selected for you. Why it does that, I'm not quite sure. It's just an annoyance, not a big deal. But you go up here, you deselect all, and then you can go through and select your individual PIDs and look at them. You can also pull down a little graph, which is nice. And you can look at, so you have O2 sensors or something. You could look at them both right there. Or you can also graph them together. It's going to tell me I need to select them. So you just select them, graph, and you can graph them like that as well. You can also combine them on a graph. So you can have one graph with both of those PIDs on it. So it's very usable. A great scan tool, great option. And I think for the price, the T8 is very, very appealing. Especially if you can find it on sale. The T10, I will say the big difference between the T10 and the T8 is, one, the screen is much bigger on the T10, which is always nice. And the T10 has topology, which is a game changer sometimes if you're dealing with communication issues between modules and stuff. Just having that network map, I think, is very nice. People always talk about, oh, it's a game changer for, because the customer can look at it and it, kind of gives them a visual, which, yes, is true. But in my opinion, having that network map, if you're dealing with, communications issue is huge. There's other ways to go about that, but I do think topology is very nice to have. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a great scan tool. Plus, you can get a scope with it, which is awesome. yeah, if you guys have the Icon T8, T10, or any of the Icon scan tools, let me know what you think about it. I think it is a great option. I haven't found anything that I'm not able to do with it yet. Granted, it's only been 3 months, but I work at a shop and it gets used every day, and you know, we turn around a decent amount of cars a day, so it's seen some vehicles in that time, and it's done everything I've needed it to. So very happy with it. Shout out to Martin Lauren for the scope. It's an awesome product. Highly recommend it. I'll link that in the description. And then, you know what? Shout out Harbor Freight. I'm honestly very pleased. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.